You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
This is Big Q from the Sports Coma chiming in about the Pro Shop. Pro Shop is the platform store, and over 35 different designs are available for your pleasure. The new Drew Orleans shirts are coming in all colors, all sizes. Also for women, men, and children are available. Built Drew Orleans Tough is also available. Despite Katrina, despite the plagues, despite everything else, we're still built Drew Orleans Tough, and we're gonna make it through it. The very popular God is a Saints fan shirt is available with volume number 2. One shirt that says it all. You'll be the life of the party with your God is a Saints fan shirt. Also other designs like the Chump Missioner tees. We didn't get robbed. The Drew Orleans neck gaiter that's also available now on the Pro Shop. Also I am black and gold royalty. Tiger, purple and gold pride. Built NOLA Zion strong. Won't back down ever. Black and gold stand up. And many other great designs are available at the Pro Shop and provided to you by Pro Apparel. And not only tees or sweaters are available at the Pro Shop, also coffee mugs, smartphone cover cases for your Apple or Android, bedspreads, towels, posters, on and etc. Go to the Pro Shop, support the platform, and represent in style. Who that? What's up, fam? Thank you for joining us today for Ring Kings Boxing World. For the serious fight fans, another splendid episode is coming your way, family. I'd like to thank y'all for joining us today on Ring Kings Boxing. I'm Big Q, talking Ring King Boxing, your weekly journal for everything boxing. Coming in with me on Ring Kings Boxing. In this episode, I'd like to bring in my contributor and co-host, former pro Eddie Too Mean Johnson. What's going on, Too Mean?
Good in the hood.
It's pretty good, bro. As we starting to see some fights get made, man. It's finally happened, man. And we seeing some fight dates actually getting laid out here as opposed to a lot of the potential stuff like what's going on with Lomachenko, how that one's starting to fall apart. The Manny Pacquiao-Crawford situation that a lot of people felt was going to be a done deal. You know, that seems to be falling apart as well, as now they're saying Pacquiao's leaning toward looking at Mikey Garcia. So we have several different boxing topics. We're going to hit you with the day on Ring Kings Boxing. We're going to start with the Danny Garcia, Errol Spence and Danny Garcia fight. The date on that, we're going to cover a WBC president wants Mike Tyson, as Suleiman wants Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. safety rules change. Isn't that a laugh and a half? It's coming from the same asshole who blatantly ignored the Tyson Fury nonsense with his glove, didn't even launch an investigation into it, called it stupid. That was his term. And also, he lied about being in both locker rooms, by the way. And now, all of a sudden, he wants the safety rules changed for Roy Jones and Mike Tyson's exhibition bout set to come up. So we'll cover that. And I know Too Mean, he jumping at the bit to get on that one. And of course, we're talking about the 8-man undisputed heavyweight tournament that is being reported by World Boxing Newsnet, what they're proposing, an undisputed heavyweight title tournament, 8 fighters, 4 fights for the unification, which could basically solve a lot of issues. Dylan White, who's been waiting for over 1,000 days for a title fight. And I think it's a good way, probably the best way to go, because you have fighters like Alexander Usyk who's waiting there. And if you leave it up between guys like Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, who signed to fight each other, these other guys is not going to see the belt for at least 1.5 to 2 years, man. They're going to just be sitting on there waiting. So a tournament, to me, it makes a lot of sense there. And I'm surprised that some of these boxing guys, as stupid as they are, actually came up with an idea like this. Moving on to the next topic we're going to talk about as well is, of course, we're going to talk about Lomachenko and a possible fight. If Teofimo, his fight falls through, who could be next up for Lomachenko? And then we're going to talk about the Jarrell Miller suspension information. We're going to give you something on that. So let's start it off, Errol Spence, Danny Garcia. It's official. November the 21st, 2020 champion Errol Spence and former junior welterweight and welterweight titleist Danny Garcia agreed this week to meet in a fall pay-per-view event. Both fighters have posted on social media Friday that the deal was done. Of course, Danny Swift Garcia says, here we go. Spence on November the 21st, signed, sealed, delivered. My 10th world title fight. It's time to crown the king again. Danny wants the crown back. And of course, Errol, who's holding 2 belts, says done deal. King of the division is back November the 21st on Fox pay-per-view. And he's going down. Now, Spence is 26-0, 21 knockouts. He's 30 years old. He defeated Sean Porter by 12-round split back in September the 28th in a tough fight at Staples Center in L.A. Now, he came into a bout versus the IBF titleist who earned the WBC belt with the win. He was involved in a car accident a few weeks later near Dallas and suffered serious injuries and faced lacerations, and he had a broken jaw as well. But he's since overcome those injuries. What a lucky SOB that guy is. He was ejected from the car, according to the reports, and usually when that happens, your risks of survival are very, very slim. This sucker got up and walked away from it, and now he's back fighting. So, man, I can only imagine what that does to your psychic, to me, when you survive a life-threatening incident like that and you're a fighter in the pain game, in the hurt game. I want to ask you about that. Let's talk about that mindset, because we're going to talk about how good Errol Spence is, but the fact that he came close to death, survived it, and now he's back doing what he loves to do against Danny Garcia, who's 36-2 with 21 knockouts, 32 years age. He was a unified at the junior welterweight, and he's a world titleist at the welterweight as well. His recent fight was in January when he outpointed Ivan Rekach over 12 rounds. And, of course, Spence is ranked number 1 at welterweight in the ESPN divisional rankings. Garcia is ranked number 6. Pacquiao, WBA, and Terrence Crawford, the WBO, are the other title holders in the division. Now, with that being said, let's preview this one, too, and talk about the mindset of Spence after the accident, surviving the car accident, and getting back to fighting.
You can see, you might see a even better, more vicious Errol Spence Jr. It's about the fact that he did survive that and walked away. Just like a lot of dudes that might have got shot or close to death, it seemed like it made them a better person, or more, you know what I'm saying? It made them more better than what they normally were, you know what I'm saying, previous, before the accident, or somebody getting shot and they seen death, and it's like it takes them up to a whole nother level, man. So it might, you know what I'm saying, you might see a better Errol Spence after this, but, you know what I'm saying, the fact that he walked away and, you know what I'm saying, he survived it. You know what I'm saying, you might see a better one. And I don't did he actually get his jaw broken in the accident? That's
what the report says.
I don't know about if his jaw be able to stand up to the punches by it being broken, but we'll see. But like I say, a lot of people that, you know, experience near-death situations, they wind up becoming a lot better in life, man. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting, because, you know, Errol Spence is a dynamo. He's the 2-belt welterweight champion there, unified champion. And let us remind the fight family about what the plan was some time ago when Errol Spence revealed it. And he's basically walking the schedule. He said first he'll have a fight against Danny Garcia. The next fight it'll be against Manny Pacquiao. And then the third fight will be against Terrence Crawford for the unification of the welterweight division. Errol Spence, to me, is, despite the experience that Swift has, you know, him taking on a tough fighter like Sean Porter, then taking on Danny Garcia next, it's pretty interesting. These are really stiff fighters. And I definitely think Errol Spence will take his game to the next level to be able to dispatch Danny Garcia, move on to a fight, unification with Pacquiao, which I'll be looking forward to that eventually. So hopefully that does happen. All right, let's move on to the next news article. Of course, we know about Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fighting in an exhibition bout coming up soon. WBC President Suleiman wants Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr.'s safety rules changed. You can believe that or not. Now, Suleiman has called for a change to the stipulations regarding Tyson and Jones Jr. on September the 12th. The pair of legends and former pound-for-pound kings in their own right are due to trade blows in an exhibition bout. But Suleiman is concerned about the lack of head guards and size of gloves being used. This is considering the age of Tyson and Jones. Tyson is 54, Jones is 51. Suleiman is concerned and wants the subsequent rules altered. He said that, quote, this is Suleiman now, the exhibition is scheduled for Saturday, September the 12th in Los Angeles. an 8-round contest without headgear and wearing 12-ounce gloves, pointing out Suleiman. This is a point that worries me. Both Tyson and Jones should wear headgear that boxers use sparring. They should also wear 16 or even 18-ounce gloves. This event is a charity initiative, and that is highly appreciated and seeks to give sports fans a moment of entertainment. So Suleiman is asking for them to change the rules on them to mean for them to have headgear on, and he said they should be wearing 16 or 18-ounce gloves. So there we go. What you think about this one?
He sound like a fucking hypocrite. It's like the more and more he started talking about shit safety, the more and more he looks like a fucking hypocrite, man. How the fuck he gonna say some shit about safety when he fucking lied about him being in the dressing room with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight? You know what I'm saying? Tampered glove with the fucking Tyson Fury fight. You know what I'm saying? And he don't want to address it. He lied about the shit and got caught in the lie. It's like he digging himself in a deeper hole, man. Shut the fuck up and address that Tyson Fury shit and straighten that out and set the record straight on that first, man, before he talk about some damn safety shit about Tyson and fucking Roy Jones. He making himself look fucking terrible, man. You need to sit the fuck down somewhere and straighten that shit out first. You know what I'm saying? Set the record straight on that first, man. Otherwise, he like, you know what I'm saying? He talking safety shit just like you know what I'm saying? Exposing himself, man. Sit his fucking ass down.
That's funny too, man. That's funny. A lot of people upset with Suleiman because of the glove gate situation that occurred with Tyson Fury. Remember, there were two different circumstances where people seen footage, not only photographs, but video footage of his glove flopping around in the first fight. And then, of course, the second fight, you could see that the glove was misshapen from several different angles. They didn't even try to investigate it. The only thing they had to do was take the gloves that Tyson Fury had on during the fight and investigate them to find out if that was the case. None of that was followed. None of that. It was just they were looking at the money. The WBC wants to put Tyson Fury and AJ together and a matchup that will generate the biggest purse in boxing history, especially for on the other side of the pond. As Tyson Fury and AJ have massive star power, they won't put these guys together and make absolute insane amounts of cash. Now, I've been saying this about these boxing organizations, these presidents. They're incredibly corrupt. They're greedy. They're disagreeable. And a lot of times they're hypocritical. And Suleiman is one of the ones is known out of most of the other boxing organizations because he has a big mouth. He's always running his goddamn mouth. Nobody want to hear from you. Do what you're supposed to do and stop pretending that you give a damn about these fighters when you did absolutely nothing to protect Deontay Wilder. When you seen his face was dented from the fight, you know that don't happen in fights when their hands are covered with gloves unless something else is going on. But ignores that evidence and then proceeds to move past the point. He has no credibility to me. He's a piece of shit. We call him out here on the show all the time. And just like Two Mean said, I'm going to say it too, shut the fuck up, Suleiman. Let's move on to the next one. 8-man undisputed heavyweight tournament set to be all pay-per-view event. Of course, this was something we talked about in the pre-show, Two Mean, about the fact that the last time we seen a heavyweight tournament was back in Mike Tyson's days when he unified the crown. And of course, it just seems like the best thing to do today with people like Dylan White waiting for over 1,000 days to get an opportunity to fight for a title belt. A tournament's perfect. You can also have Alexander Usyk, who has a fight set to debut against Derek Chisora. We know about the fight between AJ and Kubrat Pulev. We know about the fight between Fury and Wilder 3. Fury and AJ have already signed a fight deal for them to fight each other for unification. Well, if that's the case, they're going to leave everybody else out in the cold for at least another 2 years while they fight, because it won't just be one fight. They'll fight a 2 or 3 fight trilogy that will ultimately leave these fighters waiting in the wings for at least another couple of years before they get a shot at the title. So instead of leaving it in their hands, there's a proposed tournament, an 8-man undisputed heavyweight tournament set to be an all pay-per-view event, as reported by worldboxingnews.net. There's 2 brackets. There are 8 fighters. The 4 fights on the left side of the bracket is AJ versus Kubrat Pulev. And of course, AJ has the IBF, the IBO, the WBO, and the WBL belts up for stake. He'll fight Kubrat Pulev. The date was announced in December. So that's the next fight. In the same side in bracket 2 is Alexander Usyk and Derek Chisora, who's set to fight. Now the brackets have the winner of the fight against Alexander Usyk and Derek Chisora moving on to fight the winner of the AJ versus Pulev matchup. Then on the opposite side of the bracket is Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, number 3. They'll fight to move on. And then the second fight on their side of the bracket is the Dylan White versus Alexander Povetkin fight that is scheduled to happen next month. We'll be interested to see how it all pans out. So that is the tournament. I think that's a good idea. That way you kind of get all of the mandatories, you get all that stuff out of the way in one fell swoop. Dylan White, him suing the WBC for an opportunity to fight for a belt, that gets out of the way. Usyk's obligation to him when he jumped over from light heavyweight into the heavyweight division. So a lot of that kind of hastens and is answered in this tournament. Eddie, you heard my breakdown on the bracket. What you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing, man. That leaves no doubt in no one's mind who the top guy is. When the top guys fight each other and whoever comes out on top, that's the best in the division. You know what I'm saying? It leaves it leaves no doubts in nobody's mind who the best in the division, which everybody want to see. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to know who's the top dog, man. So tournaments are great, man. They should have one in the welterweight too, like that. You know what I'm saying? So these dudes stop looking to, you know what I'm saying, make the most money and taking the less risk. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, it's a business move, but at the same time, the fans are getting fucked because the fans are the ones that really paying the bills, man. So the fans should be able to get what they want to see, man.
You're absolutely right on that, too, Mean. You're absolutely right on that. I think that in the welters, it should be a tournament as opposed to leaving it to Errol Spence and PBC. That's basically what's going on right now, is that he has his own plan made where he's going to fight Swift Garcia. Then he moves on against Pacquiao, who happens to also be PBC, and then they'll unify the title against Crawford, and Errol Spence will fight for the tournament, being that if Errol can beat Manny Pacquiao. You know, so I don't think he'll underestimate him like Thurman did. He'll definitely respect this hustle, especially after watching what he did to Thurman, and be very judicious in how he handles Pacquiao. But ultimately, like one of the biggest fights that you can see in the welterweight class in a very long time could be between two guys at the top of their game in Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. So I do love the tournament. I love the idea of having the tournament. It takes a lot of that out of the hands of the fighters and directly lines them up against each other. So big ups for whoever came up with the undisputed heavyweight title tournament. And it kicks off when Dillian White and Alexander Povetkin start their fight for the march to the championship, as they will face off next month. Now, moving on to the next topic of discussion, Vasily Lomachenko. Teofimo was supposed to line up the fight coming up soon, but that fight is in trouble and it's over money. That's the reports that are coming out from ESPN and other places, that could be an issue. And then, of course, there was an issue prior to that when Lomachenko and Lopez was supposed to fight. It was also about money. So there's a lot of stuff not going right now as these fighters try to iron out who the next competitor is. But Lomachenko could face Felix Verdejo coming up real soon. So Lomachenko versus Verdejo, possible on October the 3rd, if the previous fight with Teofimo falls out. So we'll see how that shakes up, man, and see how that goes. Teofimo needs to take the scalp from the age of 32-year-old Lomachenko, who won't be staying on top for too much longer. One of the reporters reports it's better for top-ranking ESPN for Loma to pass the baton to the popular Teofimo than for a lesser fighter to take advantage of him. But I think this is probably going to be one of the best fighters that Lomachenko has faced in his professional career to this point.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing that fight. See what Teofimo can do. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody on that, you know what I'm saying, with the skill level of Lomachenko. I was very looking forward to this fight, man. But yeah, I hope it don't fall through. I hope it, you know what I'm saying, the negotiations go well and the fight be made. I want to see that. You know what I'm saying? I want to see how Lomachenko, I want to see how he can handle that power of that young cat, man. I want to see it. I was excited to see this fight, man.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't fall through, man, because this is the kind of fight that we've all been waiting for. It really tests Lomachenko's ability. Teofimo will be an excellent challenger for that, and hopefully they can get it all solved, man. It'll be a shame to the fighting public that really want to see a good matchup there if this situation falls through. All right, moving on to the next topic. We're going to talk Terrence Crawford, Bud Crawford. Of course, we mentioned earlier about Crawford's fight falling through with Manny Pacquiao, as Bob Abrams revealed via ESPN that the two fighters are not even close to an agreement, which is a shame because I keep saying that Bud Crawford needs to leave Top Rank. He needs to leave because they're not getting him anybody to fight. And of course, there were rumors that he was supposed to fight guys like Danny Garcia. He was supposed to fight Manny Pacquiao. And then, of course, we heard Sean Porter in the mix. Who the hell knows right now, man, what's going to go on between Crawford moving forward. The only thing we do know, Crawford still doesn't have a fighter. He doesn't have a fight lined up. So, I mean, I think it's absolutely insane since he's moved to Top Rank. There's been no really quality fighters that we've seen, and his time is just wasting away. Eddie, who should he fight next, in your opinion?
That's a good question. I was looking forward to seeing him fight Manny Pacquiao to knock him out the way. I think that's why the fight was made, because they were like, oh, nah, we can make more money if Pacquiao stays in the picture. You know what I'm saying? Knowing damn well Crawford's going to knock him out the way. You know what I'm saying? Because he got too much skill, you know what I'm saying, and power to deal with a Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? Him rushing in like he do. You know what I'm saying? Crawford time him, probably knock him out. You know what I'm saying? I think he'll time him coming in. Pacquiao definitely like to just jump in and shit. You know what I'm saying? If he get time, which I know Crawford got the skill to do, he'll time him coming in and knock Pacquiao out the picture, man. You know what I'm saying? That's money being lost, you know what I'm saying, by him having a whole country behind him. So it's politics, man. Politricks. It's politics, man. But I think since that ain't falling through, I think Crawford should shut up Thurman's mouth, man.
That would be a good fight because Thurman's looking for a fight and he doesn't have a fight either. And that would be a really good fighter to match up with. Because I like Keith Thurman better than I would like a Garcia or Sean Porter to fight Bud Crawford. I think he would bring in that speed asset to it. He's crafty and a former champion. That's a respectable fight to take on one of the PPC guys. I really like that. If you can't get Pacquiao, I don't know why they can't. I mean, obviously it's because of the money why you can't get these guys in the ring. But any fight could be made if guys are willing to give up the money to make the fight happen, to put it closer. I don't understand what's the mindset of Abram. He doesn't go all out and get Pacquiao, because if he believes in Crawford that much, where he believes Crawford can beat Pacquiao, then that'll be a belt that'll be 2 of the 4 belts that he'll have won. He'll get 2 of them, one for Pacquiao and the one he currently has. And of course, Errol Spence has the other 2. So it will put those two in a direct a head-on collision with each other. So it makes absolute common sense for me to if I'm Bob Arum, to make that fight happen, make it materialize, create the fight between him and Pacquiao. If you got to give him money, give him what he needs to get to make the fight, because he's a champion. Crawford's a champion. That puts him on the same line as Errol Spence. He has 2 belts in the welters, so would Spence. So that just goes to show you, my mentality is simple. But we know they've been guiding Crawford a while away from serious fighters. These fighters that he's been facing on the Top Rank, the last several fighters, have been absolute. I ain't gonna say they've been jokes, but this is subpar talent, real subpar talent. Basis people he should be fighting. He should be fighting Porters and the Garcias and the Thurmans and the Pacquiaos. These guys are on your level. These are who you're supposed to be fighting. Now, we know Spence is not going to directly fight you right now. His game plan is to take on Garcia, go to Pacquiao, and then after that, head on to a division with Crawford. But Crawford needs to do his work. He needs to get Pacquiao as a fighter. That's my opinion. Okay, we're going to move to the next topic now. And the final topic on Ring Kings Boxing World episode is Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller, information on him. The cheater, Jarrell, a.k.a. the cheater, the guy been freaking cheating. Too Mean called it. He said, man, this guy been cheating. he failed the drug test and then came back and failed another test. This guy, that's how he been winning fights, because he don't have the confidence to beat guys straight up. He got to cheat. Well, anyway, little information about this. They said, according to an article from BoxingScene.com, the disgraced former heavyweight contender Jarrell Miller saw his temporary suspension extended by the NSAC, which is the Nevada State Athletic Commission, during its monthly commission hearing held Wednesday morning. The 5-panel group voted unanimously to further enforce the suspension issued on July the 2nd, stemming from yet another positive drug test by Miller. Now, according to the commission's notes, Miller's legal team was notified of the proceedings and did not object to the suspension. Now, a lot of people believe that it was a lifetime lifetime ban. This article is giving you information that is only a 6-month ban, which explains why his legal team didn't buck the ruling. So let's look at it. Miller's 23-0 with one decision, 20 knockouts, provided a tested sample in late June, which came back positive for Bain's substance. So the substance GW 501516, also known as Cardarine, Endurable, ahead of his scheduled July 9th clash with Jerry Forrest, which had been aired on ESPN. Remember, he's a top-ranked fighter. 2 days later, his application for request to the fight in the state of Nevada gave him the commission right to treat him as a licensed fighter. Now, Miller was issued a temporary suspension 2 days later, as his application for request to fight in the state of Nevada gave the commission the right to treat him as a licensed fighter. The distinction landed the heavyweight on the suspension list, a circumstance he managed to avoid filing his previous drug testing scandal. Miller came up dirty on 3 separate tests surrounding his eventually canceled title challenger fight versus the unbeaten Anthony Joshua, which was due to take place last June in the Madison Square Garden. He blew the hell out of that one. And because there wasn't a physical license to suspend in the state of New York, the lone discipline applied was his application to fight, ultimately rejected by the New York State Athletic Commission. Now, Miller was issued a full suspension by the WBA, which deemed that he was not permitted to participate in any WBA-sanctioned fights for a period of 6 months. Miller is suspended for 6 months, according to the WBA, and they're following suit. So, not to mention, man, he blew it for himself. Now, the last drug testing scandal, this is his third such occurrence for Miller, spanning the separate combat sports. Remember, he was in the kickboxing event as well. The 31-year-old was suspended for 9 months following a positive drug test surrounding the June 2014 kickboxing event in Inglewood, California. So this guy had been cheating his stinking ass off. So, I mean, it's sad, but then again, he's not banned forever. And we thought he probably would be, but according to the WBA, they just gave him a 6-month ban. Eddie, what are your thoughts on this?
I think, like I said before, big baby, he stop getting baby and be a man, man. You know what I'm saying? That's out of love. I ain't hating on the brother or nothing, but be a man. Do us right, man. Don't take no fucking drugs and shit. Prove us wrong that you can do it without the drugs, man. That's all I got to say about that.
Yep. And I coincide on that. I want to see the brother do good too, and and do it the right way, man. His career was about to blossom. He was lined up with a really good fight with him and AJ. It was a lot of flaring. It was going to be an angry fight because both of them was getting at each other. And then he blows it. He actually blows the opportunity and his shot at a title, at unification, because at the time AJ was holding multiple belts. So it's a large drop or far fall for Miller, but 6 months, he'll come back and try it again. Hopefully he can do it without the drugs, because they'll definitely keep a scope on him to make sure he's doing what he's got to do. So that'll do it for Ring Kings Boxing today. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us here. Please hit the like button. Subscribe if you aren't a subscriber to Ring Kings Boxing. We do shows every week on our YouTube channel. You can also go to Spreaker.com/The Sports Coma. That's Spreaker.com/The Sports Coma to listen to Ring Kings and previous Ring King boxing events in audio format. So for me and Too Mean Johnson, thank y'all for joining us.
I want to say one thing, man. I want to address right quick with Gary Russell Jr. and Terrence Crawford about the beef they had when they was about 18 years old during the amateur tournaments. How they got into it. He said he punched Terrence Crawford in the jaw and shit for talking reckless. Mm-hmm. I was like, why? They said, Gary Russell Jr. He represent our culture and shit, like African culture and stuff, the way he dresses and come in the ring and shit like that. But he have so much hate in his heart for a brother that looks like him. You know what I'm saying? Another African, man. You know what I'm saying? For some shit when they was 18 years old. They talk about it like it just happened the fucking past weekend or something. You know they need to let that shit go. Or they try to hype up a fight and shit. Still, I like, stop showing that hate for each other, man.
I concur. Too Mean. I definitely concur on that. But once again, thank y'all for joining us on that. Appreciate that last drop in there, Too Mean. Me and Too Mean appreciate y'all for joining us. Peace.
Peace.
You're now listening to the Ring Kings Boxing on the PRO Media Network.
What's up, sports world? The PRO Media Network is on a mission to reach 10,000 subscribers. So besides our regular programs like the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, the Pelican Post Game Report, and others, if you enjoy our content, please donate at our Patreon page. Also subscribe, comment, and share. And help the PRO Media Network reach 10,000 subs. Peace.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all